Hey family. So here's our second one of my thoughts vlog. I'm gonna renege on my last statement, my last vlog for my thoughts. As you can tell, I'm still sick. I said I wouldn't edit the vlog because editing your thoughts is kind of like you saying something that you don't really want to say, but then it wouldn't be your thoughts if you edit it. You're kind of picking and choosing what you think is the right thing to say and what the wrong thing to say. But that's not why I'm editing the vlog. I'm going to edit the vlogs to add like photos of the things I say, so it won't be so boring just seeing my face. But if you don't like that, let me know, then I'll stop adding photos or whatnot and you can just see my face. So today, what are we going to talk about? What are my thoughts? Today I'm going to talk about cars. I was going to make a vlog yesterday, my thoughts about cars, but I kept on being interrupted. That's fine. I don't mind being interrupted, but I can't continue making a vlog or explaining myself, my thoughts, if I keep getting interrupted. So I'm hoping not to get interrupted this time. But why do I keep moving my hands? What the heck is that? Anyway, so cars. What do I think about cars? Well, before I even get to the point of what I think about cars, let's talk about what kind of cars I've driven already. First car I remember driving, 1987 Honda Accord. That's right, folks. The one with the headlights that go up and down, up and down. And then you realize the older the car gets, it stops going up and down. And sometimes one side goes up and down and the other side doesn't. Then you come back the next morning and the side that didn't work now works, and the side that did work, it doesn't work now. That's a funny car. Anyway, I drove that car since I was in high school. And I drove it in my college years too. And I remember vividly that car had a couple additions to it that my dad made when he drove the car. Specifically, he had a big old subwoofer box in the back. And I always like to turn up my music. I was young, what can I say? Destroy your eardrums. And it just, the back just rattled like crazy, just bzz, bzz. And I thought that was cool. Again, I was young. What do I know about cool? And I remember taking that car out to a movie theater, come back home, and the next morning, the subwoofer box disappeared. That's right, it disappeared because somebody broke in and stole it. So we decided, let's not put another one back there because that's just a it makes a better chance for us to get our stuff stolen. So just leave it out. So as I drove during, and I still remember this, going to college, North Seattle Community College. I was on the road and bam, water pump dies. So I'm sitting there close to an intersection, not really busy street, and my water pump dies. My dad had added a really long tailpipe to the car. So the cop came over and he was going to help me. He was going to help push my car up the street and park it. But he looked at my tailpipe and said, no, your tailpipe's too long. I can't push your car. You're going to damage my car. Okay, so he helped me back up instead. So he blocked the road, back up and parked. So we got that fixed. And not a few weeks later, alternator dies. So I'm driving and all of a sudden all the power cuts out. So now I got some guy, I don't remember who it was, but if he remembers who I am, thanks for helping me push my car over to the parking lot and park my car. And so my dad came over and we went to go and get the alternator replaced. And not a few months later, some guy in his Miata, I think it was a Miata, rear-ended me. Totaled my car. And what pissed me off more than the fact that he totaled my car, he didn't have a scratch on his car. Not one scratch. That pissed me off. So I'm sitting there in my car. Cops has come over, and they asked me what happened. And before they asked me, they explained to me that the guy told him, or the guy told the cops, that his shoes were wet, he slipped on the brakes, and just kept on going. Mind you, this was during, I think, July, and July in Seattle isn't that wet. It was pretty sunny. Actually, it's been sunny for the week that it happened. So after they asked me what happened. And if you guys have ever gone to driving class or anything like that, they always tell you every few minutes check your rear view mirror, and that's what I did. And what I actually saw was he was on his phone, yapping on his phone, wasn't paying attention to the traffic at all. And of course, there was nothing I could do at that time because it was a stop. I mean, the car in front of me wasn't moving, so it's not like I can let go and hit the gas. All I could do was just hold on to the steering wheel and brace for impact. And bam! Totaled my car. That sucked. So after a few months gone by, then I decided I'm gonna get another car. So I bought a 1994 Honda Accord Coupe. At this point, I was starting to get into cars because someone I used to work with, he was in the cars and he would tell me all about it. Well, you know, how this and that. He wanted to do this swap and that swap. If this sounds foreign to you, it's probably because you're not a car person. But if you understand what I'm saying, then you're a car person. So I wanted to take my 1994 Honda Accord and I'll save some money, and I want to do an engine swap. I want to swap the F engine out from the Honda and put in an H22 from the Prelude. And I never could save enough money because I never could spend my own money. So after the years gone by, then I got into a relationship and I lived in Tukwila. And mind you, the car's been with me for a while now. It's, 3 or 4 years, if at least. And one day I went to work. I came back home. The car disappeared. Again, car disappeared. Somebody had stolen my car. 1995 Honda Accord. 1994 Honda Accord. Stolen my car. And they smashed in the quarter panel real good. So I can only assume that they were trying to drift my car. So four-wheel car, don't be drifting a four-wheel car. I mean, you can if you know what you're doing, but if you don't know what you're doing, don't try it. So I sold that car for like $300 or something like that. Some guy who wanted to take it from me, so I didn't want to deal with the hassle since I was taking the bus at the time anyway to go to work. So I just said, man, whatever, give him the $300. Give him the car, he gives me $300, we're good to go. And then when I was still in that relationship, we decided to buy a car. So I went to go buy a Lexus IS300 blue. That was the first time I fell in love with a blue car. And the blue, we're talking about blue, and it was real nice. But then as the relationship soured, I moved back with my parents because that's what we wanted. And the relationship soured, and I didn't want to keep the car. I know it was a stupid decision, but I just didn't want to keep the car. It reminded me too much of the soured relationship. So that went away. Of course, even though it goes away, you still got to pay for it. So I paid for it anyway. And then it was a few years I didn't have a car because I was taking the bus. And that didn't bother me at all taking the bus. It was easy. I didn't work at 5 o'clock in the morning at those times. I was working, I think 9 o'clock. Yeah, I was working 9 o'clock in the morning. So it was easy taking the bus at 8:15 or 8 o'clock. It's no big deal. But after a while, I decided I wanted to get another car. And the first car I looked at was a Mustang. Yeah, a Mustang. So, as I was looking at the Mustang, there was another car that caught my eye on the website. It was a Dodge Charger 2011. Gray. Oh, well, not gray. It was just a Dodge Charger. I've never been into the Dodge brand at all. I've always been in a Chinese, oh not Chinese, what am I talking about? Japanese cars. I was into Japanese cars. Engine swaps and all, I was into Japanese cars. Never was looking for an American car. And I never looked at the V8 either. I was looking at the Mustang with the V6 in it. It's like a 2010. It was only for what, 20 grand? It wasn't even that expensive. Well, for some reason, I started to look at the Dodge brand. I started learning a little bit about the Dodge brand and their Hemi engines, the V8s. And the styling of the Dodge wasn't to my liking, the earlier generations. My brother had bought a 2010 or 2007 Charger. I don't remember what year it was, but it was the last generation. And I had a chance to drive that V6. And like I said, the styling of that generation I didn't like. But the V6 I did. So I went to go to the Dodge dealer in Tacoma. And we took a look at this 2011 Dodge Charger, gray. And of course it was a Hemi. And the more I read about the Hemi, the more I realized that if you buy a Dodge, for all you Dodge fans out there, for anybody else, it doesn't matter. But for any Dodge fans, if you're going to buy a Dodge, get the Hemi. That's what they're known for. Just get the Hemi. And that's exactly what I bought. I bought a 2011 Dodge Charger V8 RT. I've never driven a V8 before. When I drove this car, boy, that thing was just powerful. Loved it. I loved it. So I had that car for about 2 years. And in 2013, I guess I decided I wanted an all-wheel drive Dodge Charger. And the 2011 or 2013 Dodge Charger all-wheel drive only comes with a V6. So I downgraded to a V6, and I won't do that again. So as I bought that car, it wasn't too much later that I realized that I wanted a V8 again. So I saw this 2013 Dodge Charger RT Daytona. That's right, a Daytona. So I decided to buy the Daytona. And as you well know, I am riding in the Daytona right now. It is the 1,181th one of the 3,000 that was made in Daytona blue. And I love this car. I love it, but I also am jealous sometimes. Let me explain. I have this 2013 Dodge Charger, Daytona blue. And it did not come with the 6.4 liter V8, which would netted me about over 400 horsepower. I have the 5.7, which is 370 to 375. And then when the new Dodge Chargers came out, to be honest with you, I don't like the look of the new Dodge Charger. I just don't. But I love the horsepower of the Hellcat. 707 horsepower. What in the world do you need do you need 707 horsepower for? My answer to any of those people who ask that question, you're right, we don't need 707 horsepower. That's absolutely right. But we want 707 horsepower. That's the difference. And we are gearheads. We don't. Why do we need 1,000 horsepower, 1,001? It doesn't matter. We just want it. So this car is going to stay with me for a while. And I'm probably going to put mods in this car, make it probably a cool 1,000 horsepower. I don't want no uneven numbers. Let's just do 1,000. But we'll see. Anyways, now that I've told you a little bit about my cars that I've driven, let's talk about what I think about cars. What I think of cars are going to be like in the future. Well, first of all, I think most cars are going to be autopilots. That's right. We are no longer going to be enjoying the fact that we got our hands on the steering wheel and we got a gas pedal that we can press all the way down. I think it's going to be all autopilot. And to those of us to the positive sides of things, that's great, because then traffic will flow more better. It'll be more safe because you won't have that many. You're still gonna have accidents, but you're not gonna have that as much. It'll probably be cheaper because you probably won't even buy a car anymore. You'll probably just call one of those autopilot cars, and they'll just come over to your place, and you just take it, get in it, and drive away. There might also be some other benefits, but I'm not going to list them all now because I can't think of them. The downside of that stuff, well, in the technology standpoint, anything that's controlled by computers, you can imagine how many people are going to try to hack into it. Just imagine. Imagine the car going backwards while you going to work. You taking some kind of autopilot car and it's moving the other way, and you're going, what the heck's going on? But, it's just nature. Somebody's going to want to hack into the machine, into the system. It's just the way it is. And then for us gearheads, like me, I'm going to miss putting my hands on the steering wheel and pressing on that gas. Ain't no way I'm going to not miss that. I don't care. They can say it's 1,000 horsepower can go 200 miles an hour. If I can't press the gas, then it don't go 200 miles an hour. Now, one of the reasons why I like the Dodge brand is because they haven't caught up with all the autopilot stuff yet. And for some people say, well, that's a bad thing, is it? No. It's a bad thing if you guys like autopilot. It's a good thing for us gearheads who don't like autopilot. We want to step on the gas. So yeah, I think that's where we're going. And I agree it's much safer. But for us gearheads, we don't like that. And all those cars out there that, supercars and stuff, I still, for some reason, I can look at like a McLaren or a what's another supercar? The Bugatti, and I can still say I love my car. I still love my car. I wouldn't imagine driving McLaren over this Dodge Charger. It's not gonna happen. I love the color. I love the interior. Although they could have a little more stitching, but I love the interior. I just love my car. Anyways, so that's my thoughts on cars. I can't think anymore at the moment because, again, I'm still sick. But thank you guys for tuning in. Listen to me ramble. And until next time, family, we will be, I don't know when the next time will be. I'll probably find a topic about something and we'll talk about it. Anyways, until next time, family.